fly with me, let's fly away.
It's calm here at the moment, but that's not always the case. The Air Traffic Control Centre at Dublin Airport is a hive of activity, with the team managing up to 600 flights a day through Ireland's airspace.
Now, most people think all of the action happens up on the control tower, but that's actually not the case. Joining me now is Paul McCann, who's Operations Manager. How are you, Paul?
Hi Aisling, how are you? Welcome to the Air Traffic Control Centre here at Dublin Airport, or what's known as the radar room. These are radar controllers operating now in Dublin airspace, talking to real-life aeroplanes that are operating in our airspace. We have radar controllers, terminal radar controllers, all down on this suite, an approach radar controller down the far end, who controls the aeroplanes from about 25 miles to the runway in Dublin, where it then gets transferred to the tower. We have a traffic manager that operates between the approach controllers and the terminal controllers to make sure all the planes come in safely and to make sure they come in as efficiently and as quickly as possible. We also have a military operating area that also controls aircraft in the military airspace from Baldonnel, and we have assistants along here that help the controllers in the day-to-day function. So if you come down, you'll see that the controllers are actually talking to the pilots now, working aeroplanes that are in our control airspace, and you can see that we have a number of airplanes in Dublin's airspace. We control airplanes about 60 miles around Dublin Airport, and our main function is to make sure that the planes departing out of Dublin and arriving in Dublin are handled as safely and as quickly as possible. Obviously, it's important that the airplanes get on the ground as quickly as they can, because that saves fuel for the airlines and it saves carbon dioxide emissions. But it's also important that we get them as safely as possible, and that's what these controllers are trained to do. They're trained at the start of their career and ongoing training all the time to make sure that the planes get from A to B as safely as possible.
How many people work throughout?
We have 120 staff here at Dublin. It's made up of station managers, it's made up of controllers, and it's made up of data assistants. At any one time, there will be about 10 controllers in operation in Dublin Airport at any particular time.
Gwen Morgan has been an air traffic controller for 12 years, but it wasn't her first choice of career.
It's not something that I always wanted to do. I did a degree in St Pat's College in Drumcondra after I finished my Leaving Cert. I did an arts degree, I studied Irish and geography, and after I got my qualification I had intended on becoming a primary school teacher, and during the interim of finishing my degree and applying for a postgrad, I saw the advertisement in the newspaper and I said, yeah, I'll give it a go.
But you don't necessarily need a degree?
No, you don't need a third level qualification. They just require Leaving Cert or the equivalent of, with 3 honour subjects with a C or higher in each honour subject.
4 Golf Zulu, you are clear to Stansted, Liffey 5 Alpha departure, squawk 5474.
For the most part, the day runs fairly smoothly, but the controllers are always on guard for emergencies.
I suppose stressful situations here in Dublin, the rescue helicopter is based here in Dublin Airport at 24/7, so they might get a call, someday for maybe somebody in distress out in the sea at Dollymount Strand. It has to lift from here. It needs priority to cross the runway here at Dublin Airport. We may have maybe 1-2 aircraft on finals here to land at runway 28 in Dublin. If that's the case, they have to be broken off from their arrival route, so they're either broken left or right, climbed up to a certain altitude that's safe for the helicopter then to cross, and they're crossed, and please God, then everything works out for the person that's in distress. So it gets a little bit frantic, but we get the job done, and hopefully it's always done safely.
And while this team is keeping everything going, a number of new controllers are being trained up for this Sunday's Flight Fest, which will see over 40 aircraft flying at low altitude over Dublin city centre.